So this is the basic idea about arrays. We need to know the data type of the array and the array name and the new data type and the number of elements we have to say, right? So we can say that we can say that an array is a collection or group. Array is a collection or group of similar elements in a sequence, right? Similar elements, this similar elements is important here. Similar elements in a sequence, right? Or they occupy the memory, occupy the memory in contiguous form, or they reside on the memory. They occupy the memory in contiguous. They occupy the memory in contiguously. They occupy the memory contiguously. Okay, that means they stay in the memory one after another. Okay, so Java array is an object which contains elements of similar data type, okay, and the elements of an array are stored in contiguous memory location. Memory locations. Okay, we can store only fixed set of elements in a Java array. Okay, so this is fixed, right? The index of the array always starts from 0, and ends at length minus 1. Okay, so this is how we define arrays in Java. Okay, so if you define an array something like this, like integer, say a is the name of the array, equal to new int, and you have written here 10. What will happen here? If I draw it, it will be like this. Array will be like this. This will be the array. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10. This is 11. So if I define it here 12, then this will be the array, right? And this is an object. This array is an object, right? So you are imagining, sir, you are saying that this array is an object, right? So object of which class? Object belongs to a class. Nalisha, object belongs to a class. No. So you are thinking, sir, this is the object of which class? So Java array is an object of arrays class, right? I'm coming to that point slowly. Okay, so this is your A. Right? This is A, and it has one variable called length. Length is 12. Right? So let me show you this practically also. So you have defined one array here, integer A equal to new integer, and here you have written 12, right? So if you write here a, you can see this is the object reference. Now that means it is an object. Then object of which class, right? The question is this. So now you can see. So this is what I have drawn. Fine, Lisha. This is the array. So array is an object. Fine. So it proves that array is an object. So this is what I have. When you write down this statement, this is the effect of that statement, right? So this is the array's array object. This is the array object, and you can see the length variable here. Length is 12. So it is like this only. The diagram which I have drawn it roughly, right? So this is the official diagram of the array. And now you can see all the elements of the array. These are the elements of the array, and they all assigned 0, right? They are assigned with 0, right? This is the default value. It is called default value. It is called default value. Default value. It is called default value. Default value. Okay, this is called a default value. Default value is 0 because it is an integer array. So I hope this much idea is clear. So what is the advantage of array? Yes, Lisha. So first advantage is code optimization. Okay, this is the first advantage. Fine. So code optimized, it makes the code optimized, and we can retrieve or sort the data efficiently, right? It makes last year you may have studied bubble sort, na? Binary search. So these things are very much easy if you are using array. So it makes the code optimized, and we can retrieve or sort the data efficiently. The second thing is random access. Okay, we can get any data. Located at an index position. Okay, so what we can do here, we can store data something like this. If you want, you can access the index like a of 5. So this index must be valid index. A of 5 equal to, say I have stored 234 in that. Okay, so now if you if you inspect the object, you can see 234 is stored here, right? And evenly you can access any data over there like this. Say a of 6, I have stored -10. So now you can see that in a of 6, -10 is stored here, right? You can see -10 is stored, and you can print any data also. If you want, you can print also. You can write down here system.out.print, and you can write down /n, and you can print the data plus a of say 10. So a of 10 is basically 0, so you can see that 0 is printed on the terminal window. Okay, if I write here a of 5, then it will print. If I write here a of 5, then it will print 5 in the terminal window. Okay, you can see the terminal window is here only. Now you can see terminal window 234 is there, right? This is a of 5. So you can randomly access the data also. Fine. So these are the examples. You can, let me write it down here. Okay, and okay, so disadvantage of array is size limit, right? So we can store only the fixed size of elements in the array. It doesn't grow its size at runtime. Okay, fine. So this is the size limit, right? So first, if we have defined the size of the array as 12, then we cannot increase the size, okay, during the runtime of the code, or decrease the size, right? it doesn't grow its size at runtime, or it shrink also, or it cannot shrink also. It cannot shrink also. Say you have defined array size of 1000, but now you were needing only 5 elements only, right? So that also you cannot do using arrays, right? You cannot grow the array, and you cannot shrink the array during the execution of the program. Okay, so this is the basic idea about array, right? I hope it is clear. If you have any question, you can ask me. It's clear, right? Achha. There were two types of arrays, right? Two types of arrays are there. Types of array in Java. Okay, so there are two types of arrays. There are two types of array. Okay, so one is single dimension, and number two is not double dimension, it's called multi-dimensional array. Okay, so there were two types of array. One is called single dimension array, and another one is called multi-dimension array. Okay, so let's talk about more on single dimension array today. Single dimensional array in Java. Okay, single dimensional array in Java. So syntax is very simple. So you can write down data type, then you write down square bracket just after the data type, and you can write down your ARR. Okay, or you can write down data type, you can write down data type, give a space, and then write down square bracket and then variable. Okay, so this declaration and this declaration, or you can write down the one which I have used to explain you the array. So what I have used the square bracket after the variable, right? Okay, so is there any difference between these three syntaxes? This all three are defining array, na, Lisha? So there is a very little bit difference between these three syntaxes. The first two are similar. These two are similar. They do similar kind of a job, right? So if you define data type and then a square bracket, or you define data type and then you define a square bracket, and then you start writing down the variable names. Like here you have defined ARR, then you have defined X, then you have defined Y, right? And if you define here, say ARR 1, X1, Y1, if you have defined variables like this, okay, if you define your variables like this, so the theory says that all the variables here, this, and this, right? They all are arrays. They all are arrays in Java. They all will become arrays. Not only this ARR and ARR1. This X is also array, Y is also array, X1 is also array, and Y1 is also array. Got my point? But if you go to the third syntax, right? If you define your array like this, data underscore type, and then you have written ARR and then square bracket, then comma X, comma Y, then only this is array, and these two are normal variables. Fine. I hope you have understood the syntax. Okay, let me show you practically also. So let me create another package called my arrays, and here what I will do, I will create a class called test array, and here what I will do, I will create the main function. If you define array like this, integer, then square bracket a, comma X, comma Y. Okay, so these all three are arrays here. Integer, if you write this and then you write down a1, comma x1, comma y1, right? So here also all the variables are array. But if you define this integer a2 square bracket, comma, right? If you write down x2, comma y2. So here x2 and y2 are normal variables. Okay. So let me show you the proof. So if you write down here a equal to new integer of say 10, right? So it will allocate the memory for the array. Memory allocation of array A. So this is the memory allocation of the array. But But if I think that x is a normal variable, then I want to assign a value, say 20 in x, right? So as you try to assign a value 20 in the x, then it will generate an error, right? It is saying that incompatible types, normal int cannot be converted to int square bracket, right? So that means x is an array. So this error proves that x is an array, right? So let me take this picture. This picture is important for us, okay? So this proves that this diagram is proving that this error proves that x, y, x1, y1 are reference variable, okay? X comma y comma x1 and y1 are reference variable of arrays template class, arrays class template, right? Arrays class template. So where is this arrays class, right? So in Java now, whenever we create arrays, right, all these are objects of arrays class. Got my point? All these are object of arrays class. Okay. So arrays class is present in java.lang.arrays. Okay. Java.lang.arrays. And this class contains a function, a public, sorry, not a function, public variable, public final int length. This class contains a variable called public final int length. Okay, so that is why length variable is accessible by using arrays object, right? So therefore length variable is accessed using array objects, directly. Fine. I hope idea is clear, Lisha. Okay. So if I remove this, this array is gone, because we know that x is an array. X is an array, right? So if you write down here x2, right? x2 equal to 20, it will not generate any error. So the value is assigned. If you write down y2 is equal to 30. So now you can see that it is not generating any error, right? And if you compile the class, now it will get compiled. Okay. So x2 and y2 are normal variables here, right? x2 and y2 is normal variable. Okay. So it is not generating any error. So we can say that x2 and y2 is normal variable. Okay. So we can say that here x2 and y2 are normal variable. Okay. So therefore we can say that if we have to define multiple arrays, right, and you don't want to write down multiple square brackets, right? So this syntax is very much useful. This syntax is very much useful when we want to define multiple arrays of same type, and we don't want, let me write it down, this concept here. So multiple arrays of same type, right? We want to define multiple arrays of same type, but we don't want to type square brackets. We don't want to type square brackets. So I hope this idea is clear, Lisha. When we want to use this syntax and when we don't use this syntax. Okay, so this is the basic idea of syntax, why we are using this, right? So earlier you have created a thinking in your head that this syntax is of no use, but this is very much useful when you want to define multiple array variables, right? And later on you will allocate the memory of the array variables, right, as per your requirements. Okay, fine. So what we do here, we write here. What we can do here, we can write down here a variable called or you can define the array in this way. You can write it down system.out.print. You write down here slash f, enter number of elements in a, right? In a array, in a array, and you write down here something like this: a equal to new integer, and in the square bracket. Now acha, we need to define another thing called scanner, which I have not defined here, so I'll define it here. Scanner sc equal to new scanner, write down here system.in. Okay, so after this we write down the import, right? And then we define it here. We write here sc dot next int. Okay, so it will define the array, and after this you want to define the size of the other arrays. Okay, so here I want to define the number of elements in X array, number of elements in X array, right? So you write down here X. Okay, so now you want to define the elements in Y array, A1 array, X1 array, Y1 array, A2 array. Okay, so let me write it down one by one here. This is X, so this will be Y. So now you can put here Y. Now you write down here X1 array, make it X1. So X1 array, XY, X1 array, and then this will be Y1 array. So this will be Y1 array. Then A, XY, X1, Y1, A1. I have not defined the A1 array. So this is A1 array. So you write down here A1 array. And this is A2 array. You write down this as A2 array, right? So we have defined so many array, and we have other variables, right? So we can write down here assigning values to normal variable, to normal variables. So you can write down here x2 is equal to y2 is equal to 100. So I'm assigning x2 and y2 both as 100. Okay, so let's compile the code and let's see whether how many arrays we have defined. You just see. So this is your code, and let me execute this. Now you will see that number of arrays are defined here. It's asking for number of elements, so I've entered here 5. Now I'm asking for element for x 7, y let's put here 6 elements, then x1 10 elements, y1 say has 3 elements, a1 4 elements, right? a2 9 elements. Okay, so now the code has stopped here, and now you can see the array here. Okay, now you can see the array here. Increase the size here. Alicia, you can see all the arrays here. Now A, X, Y, X1, Y1, A1, A2. Okay, and now you see this. How many elements you have defined? In A, 5 elements, right? So let's inspect A. So now you can see that A is containing 5 elements. Okay, this is X. So X is having 7 elements. So you can see this is X having 7 elements. Okay, now we have, can we reduce the size a little bit? No, it's not possible to reduce the size. Okay, so then we have x1. Now we have y is having 6 elements. So you can see the 6 element array. Can we reduce the size of this little bit? Yeah, I can reduce the size. Okay, so we can see the 6 here. Now we have x1. X1 is big. It has 10 elements, right? It has 10 elements. Okay, then we have y1. So y1 is having 3 elements. Okay, then we have a1. A1 is having 4 elements. So let's keep it here. Okay, we can keep it here. We know the values here, so we can keep it here. And A2 is having 9 elements. So we can bring it here. This is A2 and it has having 9 elements. So I'm reducing the size such that I can show you in one picture all the array elements. Visible, Lisha? It is.
Yes.
So all the objects are visible, right? So let me take the photograph and keep it in our notes. Lisha, it is visible, right? Not that small. Okay. So now you can see array A. Array A. So this is array A. You can see here array A. This is array A, right? How many elements? 5 elements, right? You can see number of elements is 5. You can see array X having 7 elements. You can see 7 elements. Okay. Then array Y is having 6 elements. So this is array Y having 6 elements. Now array X1. You see here it has 10 elements, right? Y1, right? Y1 is having 3 elements. You can see this is Y1 having 3 elements, right? Then A1 is having 4 elements. You can see that A1 is having 4 elements. Then you can see A2 is having 9 elements, right? You can see here this is A2. This object is A2. This is A2, right? This is A2. This is Y1. This is Y1, right? The A1. This is A1. This is A1, right? This is 7. So this is X. This object is X object. Then X, A2, Y1. This is 5. 5 means A. The name of this object is A. X, 7, 6. This is Y. This is Y object, right? Then this has 10. This is X1. This object is X1, right? X1, Y1, A2, A1, everything I have written, right? So this is the situation, fine. So this is how you can define arrays, okay? I hope concept is clear now.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to our code and we can click on step, right? Now you can see y2 and x2 having 100. Now these two variables, okay? So if you go to the code, your code at this point, right? Now if you click the step now, then your code will get over, okay? And after that you can terminate. I hope you have understood the concept of this program and how we are defining the array and how the memory of array is being allocated, right? And here I have tried to allocate the memory during runtime of the code, right? So before using the array, you have to allocate the memory of the array. The bottom line of this concept is before using an array, allocate the memory of the array. Okay. Otherwise we get null pointer exception. What we will get? Null pointer exception. Okay. So let me show you this error also. What is null pointer exception? Fine. So sometimes we create the object of the array, but we will as we are not allocating the memory of the object and we are using it. Okay. Say for example, we have defined one array A R and we have not allocated the memory. Memory is not allocated here. Memory is not allocated here. Right? And what we are going to do here, we are writing here AR of say 0 is equal to, I'm writing here 10, right? So memory is not allocated, right? So now you can see here, it's saying that ki AR variable might not have been initialized, right? So this is the problem, right? AR of 0 is not initialized because we haven't allocated the memory. If we have allocated the memory, then this variable is being initialized, right? So what we have done here, we have created a loop here for integer of I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, and we are writing here I plus plus, and we are writing here system.out.print/n, enter element in AR of I, and then this, and then here I have written A of 0 is equal to sc dot next int. Will this statement generates error? This statement will generate error? Answer is no, it will not generate any error, right? And you compile the code. It is not, it hasn't generated any error. So when you execute this code, right, then it will generate error, right? So let's go back here and we start executing the code. Now you see the error. So it's asking for input, right? Say I've entered here 2 and I pressed enter. Now you see, Acha, I need to input those things, na? The number of elements. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is for allocating memory for these arrays, 6, 7, and 8. So I allocated the memory. Now I'm entering the element in AR of 0. So I've entered here, say 9. Okay. So as I've entered the 9, right, now it's asking for another input. Areva, 12, 13. AR is defined. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Array, AR is defined, but I haven't defined it. It should generate error. Memory is not allocated, but oh, I have written here 0. Oh, I did a mistake here. This should be AR of I, not 0. AR of I. I did a mistake because I have defined the array, so that is why it is taking input in the array. So let's compile the code again. So now you can see here the variable AR might not initialize. It is saying that compiler is stopping you. Compiler is stopping you and saying that it is not initialized. So you cannot do this. You cannot execute this code. So first you need to allocate the memory and then use it. Okay. So first we need to allocate the memory and then we have to use it. So what we have to do, we have to write down here AR is equal to new, and I have written here int, and I have written here 5. Okay. So I have created 5 memory for 5 elements, but this loop is going for 10 elements. Will it compile? Now you can see it is compiling. The code is compiling. Okay. The code is compiling. Now let's execute this code again. So let's execute 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now ARR of 0. So 6, 23, 11, 21, 12, 13. Now you can see array index of bound exception because I have crossed the boundary. I have crossed the boundary here. So this array, this error is important here. Array index of bounds, right? I need the code also. This is the code, and I need the error also. Array index of out of bounds. I need this error also. So let me reduce it. So now you can see the code and the error. Okay. So we'll go here and write it down. I need to change this. This here we get allocate the memory. If we try to access the memory of the element which is not allocated, then we get an exception called array index out of bounds. Array index out of bounds. Okay, so this array we will get. Now you can see array index out of bounds exception, out of bounds exception. Bounds exception, right? Sorry for it. It will not generate null pointer exception. It will generate this exception, and it is showing that at which index you have this problem. Index number 5 is not existing index, right? Not existing index, not existing index. Okay, so our index is like this. So we have 0, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4. We have only 4 indexes are there for AR. For AR, we have only 4 indexes. Okay, so for that reason, it has generated array index of bound exception, right? Because we are trying to index which is not the part of AR. I hope this much is clear, Lisha. Okay, so whenever you will get this error, then you may realize what is the problem. Okay, so many students generally get this error. Okay, acha. Now what we do, we try to take data input in an array and we print the array. Okay, so let me create a class called array ut. I'll go back to the code again, the old one, this one. Say.
Why did you write x2 equals to y2 equals to 100? You just assigned it.
No, I was explaining it to you na ke this is a normal variable, this is not an array. If you define it in this way, I was giving you the demo. So I can assign direct values to these variables, right? These two variables are not array. These variables are not array.
Yeah.
These variables are not array. I was giving you demo, na? So that is why. These variables are not array, but these variables are array. X1, Y1, X and Y. These variables are array. If you define it in this way, then all the variables are array. But if you define it in this way, then all the variables are not array. Only this variable is array. Okay, Lisha? Any other thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Fine. I'm defining a class called array util class. Right. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating a method called public static void. I'm creating two methods here. Input. So this will take integer array only. Int array util. Integer array util. Right. So public void input, it will take any integer array. Right. Here you need to pass your array in this way. Integer, and you write down a message here, string msg, and you pass the scanner s here, right? So let me import the package here, and we write here, first we write down here system.out.print/n plus message msg. Whatever message you will pass, that will be printed here, msg, and will after printing the message we change the line. So after that what we do, we create a variable called I, then we create a for loop for I is equal to 0, I is less than a dot, and if you write here length, right, it will calculate, it will know the number of elements in the array. Right, now you write down here I plus plus, and then you can write down a message here, system.out.print, you write down here enter any integer value in plus I plus closing bracket this and this. Okay, so now after that you write down a of I is equal to sc dot next int. So it will take the input, and after completion of this loop, just write down system dot out dot print, then you write down /n. Okay, so this is the input function, right? So you compile the code and you check, you see that it is compiling the whole thing. Okay, so now what we do, we write down here public static void print array. So let's change this name of the function also, input array. Okay, so print array. So we'll write here input int array. Input int array. So this is print int array. Name of the function is this. So we pass the array and we pass the message here, string msg. So we'll do the similar thing. So I'm copying the stuff here, so we'll write it down, and here we are not going to input, so we'll remove this line. Okay, and here we are printing the array, so we'll print the array. So we write down here a of I plus, there will be a comma and a space. Okay, so we write here a dot length minus 1, and here we write system.out.print, we write here /n square bracket open and close. We'll give one space over here, and here what we do, here we write down a of I plus space square bracket close and /n, right? So this is how we have printed the array. So we put a semicolon over here, and this is the print method, right? Print array. So this class which I have created now, this is a useful class which I'm going to use it in every program. Okay, say for example, I am creating a class, right? So in this class, say I'm creating a class called T. Okay, and in this class, what I'm doing here, I'm creating a main function. I'm writing down here main function, public static void main string args. I've written the main function. Then I'm writing down here scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Okay, then we import the scanner, and now I'm defining one array variable a, right? And I don't need anything, right? So I'm writing down here system.out.print. I'll write down here /f, enter number of elements. Again, enter number of elements. Okay, elements, elements, number of elements, enter number of elements. So what you do here, you write down a is equal to new integer of sc dot next int, right? So memory is allocated as we input the number of elements, right? Allocating memory for the array, allocating memory for the array, okay? So now what we have to do, we have to take data input, right? Data input in array A, okay? So to do that, what we can do, we can call the function, right? So how we can call the function? We can call the function in this way: array util, array int util, array. The name of the class is array, integer array util, not array int. Integer array util, integer array util class contains a method called input int array. So I'm going to use this, right? So I'll write down a, and in the message part I'll write down enter elements in array, enter elements in array A. Okay, I'm passing this array A. So I'm passing this, and I have to pass the scanner object. So scanner object I'm passing. Okay, so I'm done with this. So this is how I will in data input. Now I want to print the array. So I will write down here print the array. I want to print the array. So what I will do, I will write down again this class called integer array util dot, you can see the function here, print array. So I will pass a here, and then I will write down the message, right? Array a, okay, and this will be printed, right, by displaying this message. So let me compile this code, right? And you can see the the T class T is associated with integer array util, right? Integer array util. So let's compile this code. Let's execute this code. So it's asking for number of elements. So I've entered here 5, and now you can see enter elements in array A, right? Enter any integer value in zeroth element, right? So I have entered here 10, then I have entered here 2, then I have entered here 13, I have entered here 1, then I have entered here 4. So now you can see the elements of the array, right? So this is how you can write down your code, and you can print the array elements, and you can input the array elements. So this is the code for input, this is the code for input, right? And this is the code for output, right? So you can write down here document comment.
You have written everything in one class also.
Yeah, you can write it down in one class also, but here I want to teach you in a faster manner because these things should be done it in class 10, not in 12. Okay, so I need to teach you how to pass array inside a function. Now that is a separate chapter in class 10. I am teaching you in one class. I am teaching you class 10, 11 and then in 12. Okay, so a lots of concepts. So here I can write down another document comment. Okay, so here we have parameters a, right? We can say that integer array, int array at the rate param msg string to display prompt and at the rate sc is scanner object to call input method, right? To call the input method. Okay, so if you press Ctrl J, you can see. So when you click on this, you can see here integer array, string to display prompt, and the scanner object to call the method. Okay, so I hope idea is clear. Fine. So this is why we write down document comment. You can write down document comment over here also. You can write down the document comment over here also. Here we have only these two array. Okay. So the job of this function is to print the array. This function, this method prints the integer array. Okay, so this is the job of the function, and the job of the function is this method takes data input in integer array passed as parameter. Okay, here also we can write down prints the integer array passed as parameter. So let's compile the code and let's generate the documentation. So now you can see the documentation here. So this method takes the data input in integer array passed as a parameter. This method prints the integer array passed as a parameter, right? So you can see this when I'm trying to use these methods, right? So if I write down here integer, let me move this a little bit on the left side. Integer array util dot, right? If I write down here print, no, I don't want to write down. I write down dot here. So now you can see here. Can you read this? Isha, can you read this? It's explaining the information. This information, whatever I have written, it is explaining it. So writing down programs in this way is quite helpful. Instead of writing down everything inside one main function.
Yeah.
This is quite helpful. This is quite helpful to you, to your fellow programmers, to your friends, right? If you write down your program, if your friends ask you, create this. So you have created a program and given it to that person, and that person finds it helpful, right? The way you have written. So writing programs in this way is more important than the way the school teaches. Okay. So don't write everything inside main function, right? Try to define functions in other class and try to use that function, okay, to solve your problem. Okay. So if you shift to the next now, then also it is showing this method prints the integer array passed as a parameter, and this is the parameter integer array. You need to pass int array, and you need to write down string to display information about array. Okay, you can pass that. Okay, so this is useful, right, Lisha?
Yes, sir.
So I hope you have understood the conception of array. I'm compiling this code. I'm giving you these codes also such that you can have fun with these codes. Okay, 1 minute. So Lisha, we do this much today, and in the next class I will teach you more about arrays. Okay.